Patina is a term used to describe a greenish blue colored film that forms on copper and bronze metals due to natural corrosion as they age. This greenish blue color creates a very cool vintage effect, and that's the vintage look I will show you how to create today on your cards. Hi, it's Lynn Dunn from Stamptastic Designs. Thanks so much for joining me today. In this episode of Stamptastic TV, you will learn how to create the faux patina look, a vintage style look on your cards using Shimmer Paint. By the end of this video, you will have 2 card ideas showcasing the faux patina technique. You will also learn a fun way to use ink with your embossing folders. For the latest card making ideas, be sure to subscribe to my channel and click on the little bell so you will be notified each time I upload a new video. First, let's talk about the supplies that you will need to create these cards and to create the patina look. You will need to choose your cardstock colors for the base of your cards. So for these 2 cards, I am using soft suede and crumb cake cardstock. You will also need a piece of black cardstock and a piece of very vanilla cardstock. Each of these pieces are cut to 5 1/4 by 4 inches. We will use 1 for each of the cards. Next, you will need to choose an embossing folder. For this project, I am using the new Tin Tile Embossing folder from Stampin Up. You will also need some blue and green ink to create the patina. So I am using Bermuda Bay, Old Olive, and I am also using soft suede. You will also need to choose a stamp set. I am using the Country Home stamp set from Stampin' Up. You will need some shimmer paint, so I have some gold shimmer paint, and I also have some copper shimmer paint. You will need a sponge brayer, some regular sponges. All right, I think we're ready to get started. Okay, let's start by creating this first card, which has the traditional patina look to it. It has the greenish blue color that's kind of peeking through the metallics of the card. So we're going to start with a 5 1/4 by 4 inch piece of very vanilla cardstock. Take the Tin Tile Embossing folder and open it up. We will be spreading ink across the inside cover of the embossing folder. Ink up the sponge brayer with soft suede ink and roll the ink onto the inside cover. The brayer will help you spread the ink more evenly. Continue to use the brayer to spread the ink on the inside of the embossing folder until you have covered the entire area. Once you are satisfied with the amount of ink on the cover, lay your cardstock on the bottom part of the embossing folder, the uninked part of the embossing folder, and close the folder. Send the embossing folder through your embossing machine. The embossing machine will press the ink into all the right places. Now remove your cardstock and rinse the ink off the embossing folder with some warm water. Now let's sponge some different colors on the embossed cardstock to create the patina look. We will start by randomly sponging some Bermuda Bay ink in various spots on the cardstock. Next, sponge some Old Olive ink in random areas across the cardstock. And finally, add a bit of soft suede in various areas across the cardstock. And you can continue to sponge the different colors across the cardstock until you achieve the desired look. Now let's add some metallic color. Open the bottle of copper shimmer paint. Hold a sponge at the end of the bottle opening and tip the bottle of copper shimmer paint to add a little bit of paint to the sponge. Use the lid of the paint bottle to wipe off the excess paint so it goes back into the bottle. You just want a little bit of paint on your sponge. Now sponge the paint in random areas across the cardstock to create the faux patina look. Then simply let it dry and decorate your card. This next card features the Faux Copper Patina Technique. So for this technique, we will not be using the blue or green. We are actually going to use more of the metallic colors. So we're going to use the copper and the gold, and we're going to be sponging that across some black cardstock. And it'll give it a real deep copper and gold kind of aged metal look. So for this card, we're going to start with a 5 1/4 by 4 inch piece of black cardstock. Emboss the black cardstock with the Tin Tile Embossing folder. Now we simply add some metallic paint to the black cardstock. We will use the same technique that we used in the previous card. So open the bottle of copper paint, tip it onto the sponge, and then wipe off the excess back into the bottle so that you just have a little bit of paint on your sponge, and then randomly sponge the copper color across the cardstock. Next, we're going to sponge some gold shimmer paint in the same fashion. So again, add some paint to your sponge, wipe off the excess into the bottle, and then sponge the gold color randomly across the black cardstock. And you can repeat this sponging process until you achieve the desired look. Then simply let the cardstock dry and create your card. Now you have two vintage card ideas featuring the Faux Patina technique. Both of these cards have a very unique and different look, but what a fun way to use shimmer paint and to use your embossing folders. If you enjoyed the project shared here today, I have put together a little printable tutorial featuring these two cards along with some bonus ideas. You can find the link to download the tutorial below this video. Thanks so much for joining me today. If you enjoyed this video, please let me know by liking it and sharing it with your friends, and leave a comment below to let me know what you enjoyed most about the video and the tips shared here today. Have fun getting creative, take care, and I'll see you soon.